Ladies, have you ever had a hard time getting through a heartbreak or getting over an ex?
Yeah, girl, all the time.
All the
Let's
time.
be real.
It's very common. You know, I feel that sometimes mourning in your heart of a heartbreak is even worse than physical pain, right?
Girl, it honestly is.
It hurts so much.
Oh my gosh.
That's why we're going to talk today about how can you grieve over a heartbreak in a very healthy way.
Sarah, I love this because ultimately so many people go through heartbreaks.
All the time.
So many different kinds of heartbreaks out there. So let's talk about maybe the first way to really heal from a heartbreak. I think one of the most important things, first and foremost, is to understand the stages of grief. So there are actually 5 different stages of grief. Those are anger, bargaining, denial, depression, and acceptance. Now, those are the 5 different stages. And my therapist was alerting me to this a few years ago, which was really, really helpful as I was going through a really bad heartbreak. Now, the important thing to notice with the stages of grief is that you need to give yourself grace to go through those stages. Don't just go through one and then end up at acceptance. That usually doesn't happen that way. You kind of need to go through all the stages of grief. But the caveat and the key point is here to not get stuck in any one stage for too long of a time. Because if you get stuck in one stage, you'll start to maybe downward spiral and start feeling, oh my gosh, anger, 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 and it will overwhelm you. So if one day you feel angry and then maybe 2 days later you feel a little bit sad, that's actually really, really normal.
Very normal.
Yeah. So the number one thing I would say with this is, ladies, you have to feel the pain to heal the pain. Last caveat I will say on this is to make sure that you also don't just go into a full rebound. We don't want to rebound because rebounding is not healthy, ladies.
No rebounds in here.
No, we're not playing basketball.
No, this is our heart.
Our heart is more tender than a basketball hoop, okay?
Yes.
So we don't want to rebound. A lot of times we think that we can start dating someone way too soon. So make sure you give yourself grace to go through those 5 stages of grief.
Yeah. And didn't you a couple years ago go through a really bad heartbreak? And do you want to just quickly talk about what you had to do?
Yeah, girl. So a few years ago, I went through a heartbreak with a man who I thought I was absolutely going to marry. And you know what I had to realize is that it's okay if I was still feeling sad even a few months after our breakup.
Takes a while.
Yeah, it can take a while. The important thing is to really notice which stage you're in. So I had to really recognize, okay, right now I'm feeling a little bit more sad. And then maybe the next week I kind of felt a little bit more like, gosh, God, why did this happen? Maybe more in denial, like this isn't happening. This isn't happening. But the important part was, you know, I had friends around me to keep me accountable and brought them in to really help me continue to move along.
Yeah, so let's talk about some practical tips on what women and girls can do to really help get over a heartbreak. So one thing is to allow yourself to bawl your eyes out, right? Because you feel better after you bawl your eyes out, but you have to set a timer and you have to set a limit. If you can't do this for a full week on end, right? Whatever it is, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, allow yourself to just cry your eyes out to the point that your face is puffy, and then no more, girl. You got to put your chin up and you got to move on with the rest of the day.
Totally agree. So important. Another thing I would say is to just move through. Make moves, ladies. So this means that you, again, don't want to stay stuck in one phase for too long. You want to continue to move through. So if you notice yourself getting stuck in like the anger phase, for example, make sure you bring friends around you. Sarah, you were one of my friends a few years ago to keep me accountable to like, okay, Sarah, I feel really angry right now and that this anger is lasting maybe a little bit too long. And you were able to help check me back into place to say, okay, Kate, I think it's about time. Like, let's start praying through this and moving to maybe one of the next stages of grief. Make moves.
Make moves. You know, and another thing that's really helpful for girls is journaling. Journaling can be very, very therapeutic.
I agree.
And especially for you, if you're the kind of person where you get a lot of therapy and you feel a lot better after you write down your emotions and your feelings, please do that. Write it all out. Nobody has to see it but you. But we also recommend journaling.
Yeah,
very
I love journaling. The last thing I would say is to do one amazing thing to treat yourself with love. So this is really, really important, especially through grieving, especially when you can't really feel a ton of joy maybe. Make sure you do one thing for yourself each week that will bring you joy and that will just love on yourself. It's really, really important to do that.
Yeah, self-love is so important. So ladies, your challenge this week is to understand which stage of grief are you, or your friend or your sister, whoever it is, what stage of grief are you at right now? And focus on moving to the next stage so you can fully heal your heart in a healthy way.